Hi everybody, it's Friday, January 23rd, and I'm giving my legislative update from the West Virginia State Senate. I actually wasn't able to get a legislative update yesterday on Thursday, the 22nd, so I'm just going to wrap it all into one day. It'll be a little bit longer today probably, but I'll try to get through it as quick as I can. So I'm going to start with yesterday, Thursday, January 22nd. We started off the day again with a 7:30 Senate leadership meeting just to talk about what bills each committee would be introducing in the coming week, and to make sure that we had all of our ducks in a row for that. Then at 8:30, I was back in the Health Committee office meeting with my staff for an organizational meeting for all of our bills that we'll be running next week. And we're going to have a pretty full agenda next week. We've got committee meetings every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock, and we've got a full agenda lined up for both those meetings next week. At 11 o'clock, we had the floor session. We didn't have any votes yesterday. I did post a link to listen to the floor session live on our Facebook page. I've done that a couple of times, so please take a look at that. That same link can be used to listen into committee meetings live as well. So if you're following a bill through the process and you want to hear what actually happens in the committee, you have the ability to do that. All of our committee meetings and floor sessions are live streaming audio, so please take advantage of that. At 12 o'clock, I had a meeting with Deborah Jenkins from the West Virginia Rural Health. And basically, she had come to talk to me because of the role that my committee serves. The West Virginia Rural Health had put together the Health Data Portal, which is just a source for providing unbiased data on health statistics, and it's funded by the Benedum Foundation. So it doesn't actually require any state funds. She's one of the few people that have come to me this year that's not looking for additional revenue, so that was kind of a bonus. But I had my staff go ahead and take a look at the portal. They had an example of it here set up in the Capitol yesterday. They said it was phenomenal. They are offering free trainings for my staff, and so I think we're going to take advantage of that and use that information in the future so that we can make better informed decisions when we're considering bills. At 1 o'clock, we had a full Republican caucus in the Senate, and this is really the first opportunity we've had to get together as an entire caucus since the session kicked off. It was much needed. Kind of inform members what each committee chairman was planning on doing in their committee in the upcoming weeks. And as I mentioned on here before, we have thousands of bills that are introduced every year. In order to efficiently consider bills, our legislatures in our House and the Senate are divided up into committees, and those committees consider the bills that are relevant to those specific topics. So anytime a bill is introduced, Senate President assigns it to a committee or multiple committees, and then that committee considers it, and if it passes the committee, then it comes to the Senate floor for the entire Senate to vote on. So there are occasions where bills go through the committee process, and it's not a committee that I serve on, and therefore it's helpful to have that caucus to hear about those different bills. 2 o'clock, I had my Government Organization Committee. We had continued to run numerous rules bills, which you can look at the committee agenda if you have any interest in any of those. But one I thought was particularly important that I've mentioned here on the video update before was Senate Bill 8, which was a Division of Highways Performance and Efficiency Audit. And I talked about that a little bit before. We've had numerous people on our Facebook page ask about an audit of the Department of Highways. And this one is a little bit new in comparison to audits that have been done in the past. This actually looks at is auditing Department of Highways all the way down to the district level. So it can look at what resources different districts have that may be in excess and where other districts may have shortages, and to better use our resources. And these types of audits have been done in other states and have actually proven to save tens of millions of dollars. So it does cost a little bit more, but I think the potential return on investment is really great. At 3 o'clock, I had a Judiciary Committee meeting. We had, again, a number of rules bills. I think we're about getting through all those rules bills in every committee. But one that was particularly important in Judiciary Committee yesterday, particularly important to the Northern Panhandle, was Senate Bill 280. And it permits the transfer of gas well work permits during an asset purchase upon approval of the Secretary of the Department of Environmental Protection, the DEP. So that's our state level version of the EPA. And the reason this is important to the Northern Panhandle is that there was a recent asset purchase by a company called Southwestern Energy from Chesapeake. And they purchased an a number of assets from them. And so basically what happens is in our current state law, when an asset purchase occurs, the work well permits do not automatically get transferred to the new company. And so that new company, if there were a large number of work well permits that were active, that company would have to start the permitting process all over, and it would delay progress and investment, and so we did have a committee substitute. That bill was in a subcommittee, and I want to read the committee substitute. A committee substitute, for those of you who don't know, is basically an amendment to the bill, but it's significant, and so rather than just having an amendment, we take one bill in place of the other. We substitute it, and so the committee substitute clarifies that the approval of the Secretary of the DEP must be prior to the transfer of the permits and be in written form. That approval must be supported by a finding that the proposed transferee meets all requirements for holding a well work permit, such as bonding requirements. We had a lot of people in committee say, well, what if the new company that's purchasing the assets can't financially meet the bonding requirements? And so that's in there. That the application for transfer shall be upon forms prescribed by the Secretary. So the Secretary will have to come up with those forms. The application for permit transfer shall be accompanied by a permit transfer fee of $500. So we added a fee on there for the transfer. And that the transferee provide notice to all parties entitled to notice of the original permit application. So those were all significant changes to that bill, but I think they were concerns that were raised in committee, and rightfully so. We talked with the industry experts. They were fine with that. Basically, there's going to be an enormous amount of investment going on in our region, and so the faster that we can help expedite that process, the sooner we can reap the benefits of that investment. Then at 4 o'clock, immediately after that Judiciary Committee meeting, I had organized myself a meeting between some of the physician groups as well as the advanced practice registered nurses, APRNs, nurse practitioners. The nurse practitioners have for several years now been working on expanding their scope of practice, primarily eliminating their collaborative agreement is what they're looking for. So I called a meeting with all interested parties. We had folks from the Board of Medicine, State Medical Association, Nursing Board, and Nursing Association. Also invited the legislative auditor, because they had actually this past year done a performance evaluation research division report specifically on this topic. So I asked them to kick off the meeting, explain the results, the findings of their report. At the end of the day, I think that both sides are pretty much holding their position, but I do believe there's room for compromise there, and we're going to continue those conversations in order to help find a beginning point that everyone can live with. At 5:30, I met with myself as well as some of my colleagues met with industry experts from the coal industry about suggestions for improving safety to miners in our state of West Virginia, some ways to reduce drug offenses, and ways to save coal mining jobs here in West Virginia that, quite frankly, are in jeopardy as we speak. Most of those jobs are in jeopardy as a result of regulations imposed by the EPA, which is out of our jurisdiction. But there's some things that we can do as a state to help save those jobs, help our state continue to collect severance taxes. And so that meeting took quite a while and wrapped up rather late. So I concluded my day yesterday with that. And we have our floor session at 11 o'clock this morning, and we had another leadership meeting this morning, all in preparation for next week. So I'll be back to talk to you on Monday, hopefully, and let you know how things are going. Have a great weekend.